So when we take a look at question one today, now today is not the official review. There is review on this, but we're still going over some of the stuff we learned last week. And so if you think this stuff is hard, last week was pretty tough, okay? And so if you think that this stuff is tough and you have to guess C on a lot of this stuff, then that's okay, all right? No problems with that at all. But we're going to try to get better at this stuff so that if you can get it, then it helps you make an A or a B. So whenever you see, especially when you see that they're talking about shifting up and down and steeper and less steep, or if you see them talk about parent equations, what they're doing is they're working with y equals mx plus b. I think so, yes, your grade is the grade value. It should be the very first grade you see should be your grade, just going from left to right. All right, so when we look at this, it is comparing this equation to this equation right here, but this is what we call the parent equation. We're really not doing anything with the parent equation. We're focused in on the new equation, okay? So not the one that's real basic, just says y equals x, but the new one. Now, what I need you looking at is the number in front of x and its slope, or is the number by itself and it's the y-intercept? Now, the slope is the one that to me is a little bit more confusing. Now, if it's positive or negative, that's the easy part because, you know, positive would be going uphill, negative changes direction and it goes downhill. But when you're looking at the other stuff, it can be a little confusing. And here's the basic idea. If the number in front of x is more than 1, then it's going to be more steep or steeper. If the number in front of x is less than 1, so it's a fraction where the number on the bottom of the fraction is bigger, then it's less steep. That can be kind of confusing there. So once again, if you're guessing C, it doesn't bother me. That's a great strategy right there if this is confusing. B right here is the y-intercept. Now B is a little bit easier, okay? If it's a positive number, then it's going up. So remember, B is the y-intercept. So that's where the y-axis is. So if it's positive, it's going up on the y-axis. Well, that's a lot easier. So it's going up. If it's negative, it's going down on the y-axis. Okay? Then you would guess C on this, Chastity. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this. I want to get to the stuff that's a lot easier. So I want you just saying, hey, you know, if I don't understand this, I'm guessing C. Amias, I love the fact that you're trying to do this ahead of time. That's awesome. All right. So we're going to look at this right here. And this right here is in front of x. And so we're going to look at this number. It's definitely slope. And so it's either going to be more than 1, okay, or less than 1. So is 3 more than 1 or is it less than 1? Well, 3 is more than 1, right? Okay, so if it's more than 1, then it has to be more steep, or in this case, steeper. And so if I didn't know what I was doing, I would have guessed C and you would have gotten this right. Now, even if you've already put an answer, I want you to go back and put the correct answer. So I want you to put C, even if you put the wrong answer. And like I said, I love it that you took a chance and put yourself out there, but change the answer now. So go ahead and change this to C, okay? Very good. All right. So, and in the end, what I really want you to see is that if you looked at this and said, this is tough, I'm going to guess C, man, that's a great strategy. And you're going to get some of these, okay? But I definitely don't want you frustrated with this, okay? All right, so let's take, let's take a look at this. All right, so now we've got y equals mx plus b again. Now we're not, this is our parent function. We're not looking at that. We're looking at this one. And this number is not in front of x, okay? Chastity, you're exactly right. So this number is not in front of x, okay? So this is the y-intercept. Now the y-intercept I think is easier. If it's positive, then on the y-axis you're going up. If it's negative, then on the y-axis you're going down. This here is a -2. And so if it's -2, then it would be going down. So number 2 would be B. This would be B right here, sorry. And so this one right here, yes, was C. Y'all got it, but. All right, so make sure you're putting the answer in the private chat. And like I said, you may be like, I have no idea how you got that. We're going to keep going through this. I'm not going to stress over this, all right? Okay, I don't want you stressing over this. So if you're not familiar, now I will tell you, if you're not familiar that B is the y-intercept and that the number in front of X is the slope, then no, Chastity, I don't want you to put this on Google Form. All you need to do is put the answers in the chat, and that's all you're doing today. You do not need to do the Google Form. I will print this off, and I'll have your answers, okay? So all you got to do is put it in the chat, which you're doing, so you're good. All right. Make sure you get number 2, though. So this is number 2. All right. So number 3. All right, number 3. So the one that just has X, that's the parent function. We're not doing anything with that. The one that's changed, that's the one we're interested in. Now, this one, I kind of do think y'all should be able to get. So it's in front of X. That means it's slope. And the only thing they've done is put a negative. And so one of the things we have really worked hard on, the one thing I do expect you to be able to do in slope is tell me positive and negative, okay? Positive is going uphill, negative is going downhill, okay? So what does that mean in terms of words? That means it's changing the direction. You're going from uphill and then you're going downhill. That's changing the direction of it. So when you see that it's negative right there, okay, and it was positive, then it's simply changing the direction. So there was a change. It did not stay the exact same. And so the change is that it's changing direction. Okay. So number 3, make sure you put C. Very good. Very good. Now, once again, that is tough. I'm not saying it looks so confusing up here. There's just so much stuff. I would understand you being like, Coach, that's just too much. I don't even understand what's going on. Okay, well, then you would guess C. And notice 2 of the first 3, you would have gotten it right by following that strategy. Okay, so be honest. That's the main thing I want from you. And you might be like, but Coach, that means I'm going to be guessing a lot of C's. Then you guess a lot of C's. Okay, I've never chewed anybody out for guessing too many C's. Now, you can't guess everything C, but you're about to see we're going to get to some easy stuff, okay? This is all just the hard stuff. Okay, so here they've made 2 changes. So here's what's called the parent function, and they made 2 changes. Now, they didn't do a positive or a negative, okay? So to me, slope is kind of the tougher thing when you're looking at this. This is what's easy to me. This is the y-intercept. And so y-intercept, if it's positive, you go up. If it's negative, you go down, okay? And so this is a -2. Immediately, I'm looking for an answer that's talking about going down. So right here, A, so this is talking about going up. This is talking about going up. So if you know y-intercept moves you up and down, then this part I think should be pretty easy, okay? And it's one of these 2. Okay, well, unfortunately, now we've got to figure this out. So this is slope. So the rule is very good. If it is bigger than 1, then it is, I'm sorry, I don't want to use the word bigger. If it's more than 1, then it's more steep, okay, or steeper. If it is less than 1, then it is, and I see a lot of y'all putting answers down. You're getting it. That's awesome, okay? And so this is definitely more than 1, so it would be steeper, which would be A. So maybe it's not as bad as what you had thought. Maybe you can get some of these, okay? In the end, if you can't and you got to guess C, there's nothing wrong with that, okay? If we can get the easier questions, okay? And that's the thing, is we haven't got to the easier questions yet. Okay, so this question right here is going to be just a touch tougher than what we've been doing, okay? Notice in my answers that my answers have 2 of these right here, okay? So we talked about this on Friday, all right? If you were with us on Friday. Now, you may not have been with us on Friday, so this is really looking crazy. And I'll tell you the same thing that, I always say, if this just looks too crazy, then you guess C, all right? So here's the deal. You know how I always tell y'all that when there's 2 letters back to back, it's always a Y. Well, this is definitely a Y right here because it's where the Y always goes. Unfortunately, since they did 2 of these, the second time we do this, it's actually the X. And it's the only time all year that we ever see this. But this is actually the X. And so this is still in the form of Y equals MX plus B. So whatever is in front of this would be the slope, and whatever's after this would be the y-intercept. Okay, so whatever's in front of the x, and as of right now, this becomes my x, is my slope, and whatever comes after is still the y-intercept. Okay, so the parent function is always the most basic graph, and it should always be first. So f is my parent function because f comes first in the alphabet. So then they changed the line right here. Now, F is positive and G is positive. And so they didn't do anything where they switched it from a positive to a negative. And so all of these are positive slopes. There's nothing we can do there. Personally, this is just personally, I would look at the y-intercept. Did they change where it crossed on the y-axis? No, they left it the same. Well, A means it would cross at -4. Well, that's not true. C means that it would cross at -2. Well, that's not true. So to me, the y-intercept on these is kind of the easy thing. Now, this right here is the tough part, okay? This is just really tough. And I love that some of y'all are trying to put some answers here. I love that. Very good. And some of y'all got it right and some of y'all got it wrong, but that's all right. I love that y'all are trying. So the question is G more steep or less steep? Okay. And so if I was to draw like slope dude right here and he's walking uphill, okay, so this is our original parent function. But then he switches over to this hill right here, this mountain. Is it easier to walk on because it's less steep, or is it harder to walk on because it's more steep? This would be easier to walk on because it's less steep. And because it's less steep, that means the number has to be less than 1. And the answer would be B because it's less steep. Guys, that's just, I'm sorry, that's tougher to me, So those of you that put it in, I love that y'all put it in. Make sure you change your answer if you did not put B, okay? But it's awesome that you guys were trying to do this. I love it, okay? Thinking about giving you guys bonus points just because you're participating ahead of the time. I love this. Okay, I'm going to give you guys some extra bonus points. All right. So anyways, this is tough, but I love the fact that y'all are trying to do that. Okay, doing great. All right, so here's another one. Okay, now notice on this, there's 2 of these once again. So the first one is my y, the second one is my x. Now, on this one, they put something in front of the x. So they put something right here for slope. What does that negative mean? The negative means that it's going to go from a positive slope uphill to a negative slope downhill. So look at all your lines. It's got to be a negative slope. That means it can't be F. F is a positive slope. Can't be J because J is a positive slope. So now you're going back and forth from these 2. So what else did they give me? They gave me this +3. Now remember, that is by itself. That's a y-intercept. Very good. See some people getting this. That means it has to cross the y-axis. Very good. On the positive side, okay? So this is crossing at the negative side. This is crossing at the positive side. You may not be able to see the numbers exactly, but if it is above the center, it's positive. If it's below the center, it's negative. This is above the center, so the answer would be G. That's crossing the y-axis right here at a positive Very good. All of you guys. Okay. Awesome. Okay. So on number 7, now, if you remember, oh, that was an accident there. Oh, well, let me clear this. I don't want that. Okay, that's not the answer. So I accidentally clicked on that. So on number 7, this is a word problem. Now, we had 2 kinds of word problems last week. We had the kind that had y equals, which this does not, and we had the kind that were profit questions. Now, in the end, these are still tough, okay? And I know we're seeing a bunch of hard questions today. On the test, you're probably talking 2 or 3 of these total, okay? Most of the test is going to be what comes later on in the review. So anytime that it's profit, and you can see right here that it's profit, we're looking for the cost or expenses. Both of these are cost, expenses. And so anytime we find cost or expenses, we know that we're subtracting the cost or expenses. So we go to read this. It says in a month, store sells a certain number of refrigerators. The expenses, so cost or expenses to purchase and pay overhead for all their refrigerators are $4,000. That means I'm looking for a minus 400. Okay, anytime it's cost or expenses. So I look in this, and this does not say minus 4,000. It says minus 2,000. That's not right. This does say minus 4,000. This does not say minus 4,000. Now, I know there's a minus, and there is a 4,000s, but it's not minus 4,000. It's got to be minus 4,000, so that's not correct. This does say minus 4,000. So how do I tell the difference between these two? Well, notice profit has always got to be on the outside of the equal sign by itself. Profit is always outside of the equal sign by itself. It could be on either side. And I see some good stuff being put down. So we got to go find profit. So it says the profit for the month. So it says the profit was $12,000. So if the profit was $12,000, profit has to be on the outside right there. And that would be your answer. So it's one of those things that, if you can get a question like this, that's awesome. But it's a word problem. It's kind of a tougher word problem. So if you can't get it, that's okay. So the answer should have been B. Make sure you're putting B in there. And I had a lot of good guesses. A lot of y'all were able to get it down to this right here. No, you're good. You're good. All right. So let's take a look at 8. And 8 is our last kind of tough question. On 8, we see y equals in our answers. Now, anytime we see y equals with a word problem, we're looking to see if we can p on the slope. Okay, we're looking to see if we can p on the slope. And p stands for per, each, and every. If we see one of these words right here, then this means that we found our slope. And so we're looking at this. It says a plane is flying at 30,000 feet, is descending for a landing at a rate of 2,000 feet each minute. So that word each tells me that 2,000 has to be in front of X. So it's definitely not A. It could be B. It could be these right here, because we don't know if it's negative or positive. You actually have to go read it. So if nothing else at this point, we've narrowed it down to these, okay? We also know that a plane is flying at 30,000 feet in the sky. Well, if you're up in the air, that's a positive number, isn't it? Because it's up in the air. If you're negative, you're down in the dirt. And so the 30,000 has to be positive, so it's not going to be this one either. So now you've narrowed it down to these two. And it really depends on if you know a key word as to whether or not this is going to be positive or negative. It says it is descending. Now, if you know what descending means, you know the answer. If you do not, very good. If you do not know what descending means, then, you know, at this point, you got two options. C is an option. I would guess C. That's just kind of our strategy. Okay. But, and all of y'all are getting this right here. Descending means to go down. Descending means the plane is going down, and downhill would mean negative. So the answer would be C. Very good, all of you guys. All right. So number 9. So number 9. Okay, so first off, we're now hitting all the review questions where stuff tends to be a little bit easier. Okay. I'm not saying every question's easy, but this stuff is easier than the stuff we just did. Okay. And so on some of this stuff, you're going to be able to get it. And on some of it, you know, you may have to get C on this as well. But this stuff is definitely the easier stuff. All right. So when we see that we've got parallel perpendicular, they could ask this question a bunch of different ways. But when it's parallel perpendicular to the Y or X axis, this is the question where we've got to draw a picture, okay? And I see some people that are close and they're trying to take a chance on this, and this is awesome. So I love that. So we've got parallel to the Y-axis. Now, I know that today you don't have to take a picture of this, and, you know, but if I were you, try to draw this picture with me and just see if this starts to make a little bit more sense. So we're going to draw a picture of the Y-axis. Now, the Y-axis is not what we're dealing with. I just need this picture right here, okay? This says that I need a new line that is parallel. So parallel is when they go side by side and then never intersect. This line that I'm drawing right now is where we're going to get our answer from, okay? So this is the line that we're looking at, not the Y-axis, but the parallel line. Now, first off, we never get the answer because we look at the Y-axis from this Y. This Y does not tell me anything, okay? I guess some kids are like, oh, it's got to be a Y because it's the Y-axis. No, okay? The way we get our answer is from the slope. And so this is a special slope. And so we draw a slope dude on this line. If he was trying to skateboard on that, he would die, right? You can't skateboard on this. You're going to fall and die. He would be undefined, okay? And so if you know that this slope is undefined, it will connect to either Hoy or Vux. Well, because it's undefined, it connects to Vux. So if you can draw this lines, realize that it's an undefined slope, and connect it to Vux, okay, then you're one step closer to the answer, okay? Because this X right here means there are no Y's. And so I eliminate all the Y's. So now it's between these two. So how do you tell the difference? Well, the X means it's everything X. It's not allowed to be any Y's. And I see this 1 and this -3, and that matches this right here, okay? So if it's everything X, which of these is the X coordinate? Well, remember in math, we followed the alphabet. So it's X and then Y. I need the X coordinate. And so the answer would be A. And I love that a lot of y'all put that out there. A lot of y'all were able to narrow it down to either A or C, and some of y'all chose A. Don't worry about that. Some of y'all chose A, some of y'all chose C, and that's all right. And, you know, you narrowed it down to 2s, which is awesome. And so the finishing parts to that, so you got to the important part, the finishing parts to that is it continues to be everything X. Now, if you forget that, you know, which one's X and which one's Y, then I don't care if you have to sing the alphabet, A, B, C, D, X, Y, Z, you know, so sing the alphabet if you got to, that X comes first and then Y, just like the alphabet, okay? And then you'll get the answer to that one right there. So good job, good job. I love that y'all are taking chances, okay? I mean, it's awesome that y'all are going out there and trying to get that answer. So no, y'all are good. I'm really proud of y'all. Y'all are doing awesome right now. Okay, there's 2 reasons that we love this problem. Number 1, if you don't know what you're doing, these have Y equals, and we have a picture here. you can plug it into the calculator, which reminds me, if you have not opened up this calculator on your computer, today when we get done, you need to do it, okay? And then you need to start, it'll take like 15 or 20 minutes the first time you open it, okay? So when we get done today, we need to make sure that we get that open. If you do not have this on your computer, then we need to talk about what we need to do, because we absolutely must have this on our computer, all right? And I've been told they can get it to you, all right? So even if you don't go up to the school, I've been told they can get it to you. So we need to talk about what we need to do. All right. Now, I personally would not plug this into the calculator because there's something even easier, okay? Anytime we have the picture of a graph, okay, the first thing that we always do is tell me if this is positive or negative slope. And so we draw our slope dude always on the left-hand side. He's skateboarding downhill. That's gnarly negative. And so my slope has to be negative. Now, this is where we've talked about we need y'all to be great at slope. Okay, where slope is located. It's located in front of X. Okay, and so both of these are negative. I don't know what the actual slope is. I just know it's got to be negative. These are positive. It can't be these. So you can eliminate C and D just by knowing that it's positive. I'm not asking you to find the entire slope. Just tell me if it's positive or negative. Now look at your answers. These are the exact same except at the end, and we call this the y-intercept. So we simply want to know, does this cross the y-axis at -3? Very good. Or does it cross at +3? Okay, so right here's our y-axis, and it crosses at -3. So the answer to this would be A. And you didn't have to work anything crazy out. You were just telling me, is the slope positive or negative? Is the y-intercept positive or negative? Okay, if you know where slope is located, where y-intercept is located, you know that y-intercept is where that line touches the y-axis. I mean, that's a really easy question right there. If you don't know it, then you're going to start plugging this into the calculator. And what's awesome is on the very first one you plug into the calculator, that picture is going to match. So, all right. So we cannot miss number 10. If you do not know how to plug this into the calculator, or you do not know, how to tell me if it's positive or negative slope, then, or, if it's where it's crossing the y-axis, then, we need to make, maybe try to set up some extra tutoring, or, just really work hard on learning this the next few days. Okay. We definitely need to know that y equals mx plus b. All right. Number 11. Okay, number 11, we consider this to be a little bit tougher. So number 11 is slope. I just looked down at the time, and I am kind of low on time. I should have been a lot further than this. So I'm going to go kind of quickly through this. So notice there's no y equals. So we're going to take care of our y's first. And we're going to do 2 minus 2. And then on the bottom, we'll subtract the x's, -2 minus, remember, we're always minusing. I should never, ever see a plus sign when you're doing slope like this. And then -2 minus 1, the x's. We will go type this into regular calculator, and just simply to speed things up, the calculator would give you 0. Okay, the calculator would give you 0. So the answer would be B. All right. Number 12. I'm going to work this out very quickly. Anytime we have x and y on the same side, then the number in front of x is not slope. You have to get y by itself. Now, if you don't know what you're doing here, then your strategy should be to guess C, right? So anytime we have x and y on the same side, we get rid of the x first. So I do the opposite. If that's minus, we're going to add x to both sides. So add x to both sides. We get 3y is equal to. We never ever combine these. And so we get 3x minus 1. Then we always divide by the number in front of y. And once again, if you do not know how to do this, then you should be guessing C. And we're looking for slope right here, right? And so slope is located where? In front of the x. So you got to know where slope's located. Slope is always located in front of the x. Well, 3 divided by 3 would be 1. And so the answer would be C right there. Now notice that they try to trick you by putting negative 1/3 down, which is the y-intercept. You know, so it's easy to look at this and get tricked. So be very careful that you know slope is always located in front of the x. All right, very good. All right, so number 13. So number 13, we've got to go plug this into the calculator because this is y equals right here. So we're going to go, and then a table is nothing but points. So we're checking these 2 points right here, -2 and -3. So let's see. I'm going to type in, actually, I'm going to type in B. I know it's not A. I'm going to type in B real quick. So we're going to type in 2x plus 7, hit enter, menu 5,1, and then we're typing in, I think it was -2. And on -2, it says +3. Now, the reason I jumped to B was I knew that B wasn't the answer, but we got +3. When you get the right number but the wrong sign, we change both of these signs. So this is going to be a -2 and a -7, and that's actually C. So very quickly, we're going to hit tab, and we're going to go up, and then delete that, hit -7, and then -2, hit enter, menu 5,1, and you can see 2 and -3. And so that matches, and then -3 and -1, that matches. So if these match, then C is your answer. Okay, so we've got to be able to plug that into the calculator. That should be easy for us. So this one right here, rate of change, is the same thing as slope. Even if you weren't sure, looking at your answers and seeing a fraction with a graph line, that usually means slope. Okay, so the first thing we always do is determine, is this positive or negative? That is very good, a positive slope. So immediately we're eliminating the negative answers. Now, it is very tough to see. I can tell it crosses at -4, but it's very tough to see where it crosses the next. So I want to tell you 2 things. Number 1, on the test, I want to make sure you know that there's a zoom feature. And so you can zoom in, all right, and blow this graph up. So I want to make sure you know that. But I also want to show you that if you can't tell where the next point is, then go and look at your answers. This says I'm supposed to go up 2 and to the right 3. So from this dot, go up 1, 2, and go over 1, 2, 3. Are you on that line? No. So then look at this one. This says go up 3 over 2. So I'm going up 1, 2, 3 over 1, 2. Am I now on the line? Yep. And so that's my answer right there, is D. Very good. All right. So 15. Okay, so this is a review question, and we are behind. This would go in the calculator, and we would type this in, hit menu 5,1. We're going to skip this. Y'all will get credit for it. Okay, but we're behind, and that's not going to be on your test, so I'm not worried about it. All right, so let's look at 16. So 16, you should love this question. If you know y equals, I see a lot of y'all already answering this, y equals mx plus b, then you know slope goes right in front of x, so there's no way it's A, and there's no way it's D, because there's got to be a -2 here. And then the y-intercept would be the +2 at the end, so the answer is B. Very good. So a lot of y'all putting those answers down. But like I said, if you know y equals mx plus b, it just makes your life so much easier. There's so many more things that you can do. All right, so on this one right here, if you do not understand parallel perpendicular at all, then you at least are going to type these into y equals and check for this point. If you're lucky, the answer is early on and it'll be the first, the first one that matches that, you're going to go with it. Now, if you do know parallel, but a lot of kids struggle with perpendicular, parallel means the same slope. So whatever the slope is of this line, it's got to be the same thing. Well, take a look here. This says -4/5. This says -4/5. It's either got to be B or C. So very quickly, I'm going to type this in, and now we'll see which one of these contain that point right there. So we're going to go to graphs. We're typing in control divide. Was it 4/5? I can't remember. 4/5 and then 26/5. So 4/5 x plus control divide 26/5. Hit enter. Menu 5-1, and we're typing in -4, so -4. And we got, all right, -4 and 2. That's what we were looking for. So if you can't do anything else, I expect you to be able to at least, look, it's B. If you type this in and it doesn't contain that point, you get the right answer right there. Okay, even though we don't, we're still kind of taking a chance. At least you're doing something. So you can at least check that point right there. All right. So this one, all right. So once again, we're typing this in and checking these points. So -4x plus 6. So -4x plus 6. Hit enter, and then menu 5-1. We're typing in, we're checking 1 and 2 and 2 and -2. So 1, hit enter. Oh, yes, we got lucky. 1 and 2. Type in 2 because we got to check the other one. 2 and -2. So, yep, that matches right there. And the answer is A. Now, I know I'm going through this kind of fast, but a lot of you guys are really good at doing this. And so I'm hoping that watching me do it, you're like, oh, okay. And then at some point, you really need to go just practice typing stuff into the calculator, okay? Because obviously I can't help you on test day because I won't be there with you. All right, number 19. If you recognize undefined as special and you connect it to either Hoy or Vux, then you've pretty much got your answer. The U in undefined connects with Vux. That means everything X, no Y's allowed. So no A, no C, no D. If there were 2 X's, it would be the X coordinate. Very good. So if there were 2 X's, it would be the X coordinate, and you can see how that would match right there. All right. Number 19. All right, so number 20, this is domain and range. And we're looking for range here. So range is your Y's. If I had a highlighter, I would highlight this. My answers have to come from the Y-axis. Also, notice there are 2 dots. Pretty good chance that this is going to have 2 numbers in it. So look, it's not going to be F. F only has 1 number. G only has 1 number. Okay, so the number of dots means you got to have that many numbers, usually. Okay. And so, matter of fact, I already know my answer because we crop the top. I have to have a Y. It's got to be 90. 6 is coming from the X-axis, so it's got to be H. Very good. So if you know that range is from the Y's, if you know that the number of dots is the number of numbers, I mean, that really helps right there. Makes your life so much easier. All right. And by the way, the reason that 0 was in there is because it also had a bottom. And that 0 goes with both the Y's and the X's. So just to make sure you know that. All right. 21. Okay, I hope you recognize this as special. It's not diagonal. Most lines are diagonal. So if this is special, I don't care if you tell me what the line is called, tell me the slope, or tell me what axis it's touching, because it's only touching one axis. The slope might be the easiest. Is a skateboarder having any fun on this? He's having zero fun. What axis is it crossing? The y-axis. Everything here connects to y. Okay, it's crossing the y-axis. It's zero fun. That's Hoy. And so, and so the key maybe might be the axis even. Just concentrate. It's only crossing the y-axis there, but it's everything y. It's crossing the y-axis at 3. So yeah, it's going to be D. It's only y's right there. Very good. Very good. And like I said, I mean, the fact that you were willing to try that and got it wrong, it probably makes more sense now than you just sitting and waiting for me to give the answer. And so I love the fact that you guys are trying to put this out there. Okay, very good. All right. We got just a couple more questions. I'm sorry. So we got slope is -2. So immediately we eliminate A and B. And then let's try C real quick. And we're looking at -5, 3. So we're going to go and -2x minus 7. Hit enter. Menu 5, 1. We're typing in -5. And oh, praise the Lord. -5, 3. That worked. So the answer is C. Okay. You might. We got 2 more days to practice this. So you might get really good at those. All right. So this one right here, and I will have notes posted for you as well. So if you click on those notes, I mean, imagine if you were in the classroom, you'd be seeing those notes, and it would make it even easier to remember Hoyenbucks. Well, I'll have those notes posted so that you can look at them during the test, which will make it even
If we
easier.
were in the classroom, we would most likely get a lot of this more right.
Oh, without a doubt. And so, but like I said, I'll have those notes for you on test day, and you'll be able to click on them, and it'll help as well. So rate of change is also slope. And so we're going to subtract the y's first. The hardest parts of this is the y's are on the bottom, but up here they're on top. And then the x's go on the bottom, so -1 minus 0. And if we put this in the calculator, wait, that's a +5 there, isn't it? Sorry. And so, so if we do 5 minus 3 and then -1, that would give us a -2 as an answer. So the answer is -2. So anytime we have x and y together, then we always got to get y by itself. Oh, you're good. So we're going to add 5x, add 5x. We'll see you. So those cancel right there, and we got -y is equal to, and then 5x plus 1. And then there's an understood -1 right there. We're going to divide everything by -1. And so this will give us y equals, and then you can throw these in the calculator, but one negative makes the whole thing negative. So -5x, and then the one negative makes the whole thing negative there. And so the answer would be D. And like I said, you could throw it under basic calculator, just the fraction, and it'll reduce it for you.